Hey guys, well, eclipse season is formally underway. We have our full moon lunar eclipse taking place in the sign of Libra Monday, March 25th, 2024. It's actually happening like overnight. The full moon is coming exact at 3:01 a.m. Eastern time. This is of course happening with the moon in the sign of Libra alongside the south node. This is what is giving us our eclipse. Therefore, the sun is in the sign of Aries. Whenever we have a full moon going on, this is when the sun and the moon come into exact opposition with one another. It represents our energetic climax each month. It's sort of what things have been building towards throughout the course of the month. And we have an interesting analysis to go through today in the context of the energy as it's coming together for us for not only our full moon in Libra this year, but the full moon also being this lunar eclipse, which is also opening the eclipse window that we're going to be in over the course of the next 2 weeks between this eclipse and the full solar eclipse that is coming on April 8th. Of course, this is another very big energetic moment that is occurring only a few days before the big energetic climax of our 2024 year, which is actually this conjunction between Uranus and Jupiter in the sky in the sign of Taurus, which we've been talking a lot about on this channel. We're going to be talking about in much more detail over the coming weeks, and I do believe we're all going to start experiencing the impact of this alignment, on some level, in some way, in our lives, somehow. But that's not what this video is about today. This video is about this eclipse, this full moon, and the energy that is associated with it. And I will tell you guys, as I sort of said, if you guys have been following my channel, I put out a video a couple of days ago where I was sort of saying the same thing. It is good if you follow astrology to be sort of pulling back and kind of allowing yourself to see the bigger picture of things unfolding right now, because we have sort of like a lot of celestial events happening, like sort of one after another, and because of just sort of like the combination and the way things are coming together right now, and the fact that we do have these alignments and eclipses and stuff like that going on like right around the same times, it's indicating to me, a bigger unfolding story that we should maintain an awareness of, as well as we are, looking at these energies in isolation. Like today we're talking about the full moon, lunar eclipse as it's playing out today and how it might be influencing this week. But we also should remember, we're now in an eclipse window that is leading us to this very significant solar eclipse that is coming up in April, that is only a week before the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, that is all about like totally shaking foundations, like some type of radical change. This eclipse coming up in April is also related to an eclipse that happened in 2017. We are just heading into a time that is likely to represent itself through the manifestation of some very significant world events and personal events going on as well. So all of that being said, let's now talk specifically about how this particular full moon lunar eclipse is manifesting, what these energies are representing, and perhaps, what we can expect as a result of this eclipse, but also the role that this eclipse is playing in, what is to come and where we're going in the coming weeks as we go through this period of time that is likely to be highly impacted by all of these energetic activations that are coming into play. So, all of that being said, like this eclipse, this lunar eclipse, full moon in the sign of Libra, I feel like personally as an astrologer, this is where the tides turn, and we are, essentially from this moment going forward now being energetically supported to release the past and to focus on the future. There is this all-encompassing energy, and it is being manifested and expressed multiple ways in terms of various aspects of the chart, and we're going to talk about all of them. But coming to the end of something, okay, like out with the old, in with the new, that's essentially the whole vibe right now. We're being supported to let go of things that just are no longer in alignment with, who we know that we're becoming next. When we're talking about the nodes of the moon, when we're talking about eclipses, these have a tendency of being just these more like highly faded times when things are just kind of coming into divine alignment, and you know, the dominoes are being set up in some type of way that leads to these chain reactions that just create a major turning point or impact on our lives somehow. And this is because the eclipses are a result of the nodes of the moon, the north node of the moon and the south node of the moon. And when we have our full moons and new moons each year occurring in a conjunction or close proximity to the nodes, that is what gives us our eclipse season each year. And since we have the north node currently transiting the sign of Aries, the south node, the polarity point to the north node, therefore in the polar opposite sign of Libra, this is when we're having our eclipse seasons, when we're having our new moons and our full moons on the Libra Aries axis. Now, I've also been talking about this. In order to understand the function of our eclipse season this year, we need to understand the functionality of the polarity of the Aries-Libra axis. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. This is ruled by Mars. This is about the self, and this is a sign of the warrior. It's our strength and our courage and our motivation to, you know, pursue an independent journey and to fight for, you know, our ability to assert ourselves and to do things, to like journey out. It's like carpe diem, seize the day. It's the Mars is the ruler of the battlefield, you know. This is a very fired up, assertive, courageous, motivated, passionate, inspired energy. It's also the sign of like the leader, right? In the emperor also, and if we're looking at that in terms of like how it plays out in the tarot archetypes and symbology, like it is time with the North Node. The North Node is the destiny point also. I should have said that. When we're dealing with the North Node, this is the next phase of growth. This is the next phase of evolution. This is what we're being sort of like compulsively pulled to become and move towards. When we're dealing with the South Node, this is the comfort zone, but this is the past. This is karma. This is everything that we have experienced and therefore are comfortable with and we might be really good at, but it's like if we stay in that place, it creates stagnation that limits our ability to grow going forward. So when we're talking about the South Node, this is karma. When we're talking about the North Node, this is destiny, and we've got to break karmic cycles in order to move in the new direction. And that's a lot of times also, I feel like, why eclipses can be, you know, times of like monumental change, because they are on one level breaking us out of karmic patterns so that we can be released to move towards, to evolve, to grow, and to become something, you know, more something detached perhaps from where we've been and what we've become, you know, as a result of that. So when we're talking about a North Node, the destiny point in the sign of Aries, I've been calling this like our own personal leadership era, a point in time where we might have to like be our own knight in shining armor, like where we have to like, I mean, it's this masculine energy, whether, you know, feminine or masculine, it doesn't really matter. Like this is when the masculine energy is what we're being called to embody and to step into. Like we have to all put on like our big girl and boy pants, you know, and like take charge of our own experience, become the commander of our own ship, you know what I mean? This is our own personal leadership era. Also, we've been talking about Chiron's transit of the sign of Aries as well. This is super significant in the like overall unfolding context of everything as the cosmic blueprint sort of like works its magic in our world right now. This is the wounded healer teacher archetype. This is also representing the hero's journey, a personal journey that we go through where we learn to overcome and transcend states of victimhood, states of weakness, states of personal limitation that have held us back or that have, you know, kept us in these karmic cycles or detached us from coming into a place or a phase in our own life of personal power. Not when we have our transit of the North Node going through the sign of Aries. This is when, you know, and this is where the South Node comes in. And the reason why I'm describing the North Node energy is because we have to understand that so we can truly understand the nature of the South Node energy, since this is what this whole moon is really about, and the emotional detachment from it. So anyways, back to the North Node in the sign of Aries. You know, if we are, you know, essentially like getting a fire lit up under us to go in, like to do something personally rewarding or personally satisfying, or, you know, just take back our personal power, or, you know, be more independent, or to go in our own direction, or again, to just like be more assertive or stand up for ourselves more, just take ownership of our lives or of our experiences in some type of capacity. In order to do that, in a lot of circumstances, we're going to have to detach ourselves from perhaps the Libran qualities of our previous existence, of our lives in the past, the social groups and the ways that we related to others and the ways that we related to ourselves, and the groups that we identified ourselves by and with, and the way that impacted our interpretation of ourselves, and what we felt we could and couldn't do, and the way that we expressed ourselves, maybe even like our image and all of that. When we're talking about North Node on the side of Aries, this is like a personal independent quest, okay, to like do something new. It's even like to take a risk, to go in a new direction. Leadership era. In order to do that, we have to detach ourselves and release ourselves from the connections, perhaps the relationships, the group dynamics, the images, and the ways that we related to self and others that have attached us to a certain identity or a certain image in the past in order to become that new thing. You see what I mean? So when we're talking about right now, coming to this point in time where the South Node Libra energy, the full moon energy, this is what is being emphasized. We're talking about an ability to emotionally detach, okay, from karmic cycles in association with our relationships, with our connections, with our values, our preferences, with perhaps even like what we used to find beautiful or what we used to find valuable, the ways even that we have related to ourselves and the impact that has on the way that we perceived ourselves and identified by way of our social connections or our peer groups or whatever. So to me, this South Node Libra eclipse is really representing like the end of the road in terms of, and in a lot of cases, who we've been, so that we can begin a process of becoming the person that we maybe know we truly are, or that we are being called to step into now. So very strong energy on one hand of surrender, of breakdown, of like the dissolving of things from the past, of past structures, past frameworks, past connections, past relationships, past values. Like I said, dissolving things on one hand. On the other hand, strong energy that is really like launching us, propelling us, moving us forward into something new, this rebirth that is like taking us to the other side and like opening us up to this new experience. This is what we are kind of like energetically balancing in these Libra scales with this full moon lunar eclipse as it's coming through. From my perspective, eclipses, this is blocking something, right? Lunar eclipse, this is our emotions, this is our feelings, this is what we're like deeply connected to. And then we're talking about the South Node, this is karma. And we're talking about the sign of Libra, right? This is relationships, values, desires. So karmic connections, past values, old wants and preferences and desires, old friends, old relationships, old partnerships, even like old financial situations, all the values, the preferences, and the people who have defined our identity in the past, our emotional connection to them in this energy is likely to be blocked, removed, severed somehow, opening this energetic window that we are going to be moving through over the course of this next couple weeks, where we are shedding our old skin and being released to re-identify and recreate ourselves in our world. Very, very good time, you guys, therefore, for making personal changes, making financial changes, making relationship changes, especially quitting things, ending things, breaking habits, breaking patterns. Like, this is going to be a very supportive time for anything that we need to get out of, okay? For anything that, you might have been caught up in that you feel like isn't good for you, or for, just especially though, like relationships, connections, commitments, financial situations. A lot of people are going to be like jumping ship. It is so crazy. The entire time I was preparing for this report today, and even as I'm sitting here, I keep getting like bombarded in my mind with these like ship metaphors. Something about everything that's going on right now, it like is just creating this visual in my mind of like this ship going down and people jumping ship, like people jumping off, but then some people, half the people jumping off, but then some people like clinging to it and refusing to acknowledge that the ship is going down. And that metaphor, or whatever you would call that, is going to come up several more times as we go throughout the course of this report, because like it just kept being the image that I kept internalizing and is like still like coming into my mind as I'm talking about this energy. So maybe ships or something like that will also be like an actual relevant thing while this energy plays out somehow. But like, that's just how I keep feeling like that's like the vibe that keeps being expressed to me. Like people suddenly changing directions and just like getting off something that they might have been in for a long period of time because it's just going down or it's not working out and we're like not going down with the ship. There's another one that is like coming up to me in the moment. But anyways, so quitting things like breaking habits, right? Deciding not to participate anymore. A lot of people are probably going to be like quitting certain groups that they've been associated with for a while. Like I would think that might be like a common thing that's going on. But another thing, there could also be increased levels of aggression that we're dealing with or that we see or that are just kind of manifesting as we move through this eclipse energy. Other characteristics and qualities of the Libran energy. Libra is balance and peace and harmony and like gentleness and beauty and, you know, just the nice things of life. But when we're talking about the eclipse happening in the sign of Libra and these energies being blocked out, and of course the counterpoint of this energy is the Aries energy, like the Lord of War, right? Things could just get a little bit fiery. We may not find people taking the most like gentle approach to things that are going on. But I do also need to say Mars is in the sign of Pisces right now. Mars in Pisces is not a directly confrontational energy. This is more like hidden or obscured or veiled actions or threats. So be aware of that. A lot of things that happen over the next couple of weeks are likely not what they appear, okay? That's another thing that this energy is bringing up to me. It feels like there's like a layer of trickery or, you know, deception, or like I don't think a lot of people or things or situations are going to be super straightforward over this next couple of weeks. I feel like this eclipse window between this eclipse and the one in April that is followed by the Uranus-Jupiter conjunction, I think that there might be like a lot of like sleights of hand going on right now. Like a lot of like just trickery or things being disguised or things being obscured somehow. I don't think that things are going to be super straightforward over this next couple of weeks. We'll see. But I mean, there's a lot of Pisces energy going on right now. Mars is in the sign of Pisces. Venus is also in the sign of Pisces. They're ruling the polarities of the nodes right now. Pisces hides, Pisces obscures. This is, you know, the dream, the illusion, like the deception as well. So, and also things just not being clear. So, you know, we'll see, but that's just something maybe that you might want to keep in mind. But I mean, this chart to me is really giving dissolving the past and forcing us to move forward. Another visual that is like representing this energy to me is sort of the concept of like walking down this road, like following the yellow brick road or something like that. But it's like with every step we take, the steps behind us are like falling away to the point where we're literally all we have is like the actual step we're standing on now and like the path going forward, like the present moment. In the future, it feels like this energy is like creating a situation also where like the path that we've been walking, or the past itself, or, you know, where we've been, I don't know, something like that, literally is just, it no longer exists, and moving forward is the only option. Like there's nothing to go back to. And I feel like it could be like a part of the way that this energy is functioning, and as a result, like we have no choice literally except to like take the next step, move forward. And honestly, like over this next couple weeks, we're just in a window between eclipses, and it's not only a window between eclipses, but we've got lots of Piscean energy going on, and we're moving to the Venus or to the Uranus-Jupiter conjunction. Like things may really feel on some level like they're just totally falling apart over the course of this eclipse window this next couple of weeks, but just as much as they may be, things are also falling into place, even maybe if we're not aware of that yet, or we can't see how that could possibly be the case. So there's a strong need to maintain the faith in the face of what could be some like extreme uncertainty, I want to say, over this period of time as well. This full moon eclipse is bridging us, as you know, I've said several times, into this huge month of climactic April energy that is coming at us. And we are also with, and as of this full moon, here's another thing, this is bridging us to the new moon in Aries. The new moon in Aries this year is this big eclipse that we have coming up on the 8th of April. If you guys know a whole bunch about astrology, then you know that the new moon in Aries is an important date for astrologers and for timekeepers, because it is one of the big indications of what is going to be unfolding throughout the course of the entire next lunar year cycle. We're talking about lunar years. We're talking about new moon in Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac, to the new moon in Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac. And so we are going to begin our new 2024 lunar year cycle with the new moon in Aries on that eclipse that is coming up in a couple of weeks. So therefore, this full moon in Libra, this eclipse puts us at the very last 2 weeks of our 2023 astrological lunar year cycle. So it is the end. Like, it's also, from an energetic perspective, from an astrological perspective, it is also this 2-week period right now, and it does every year, but every year it is not the eclipse season. It just so happens to line up that way this year. But you know, this is the last 2 weeks of our previous energetic cycle. So it really is like the ending vibes are just being amplified, highlighted, like emphasized in so many different directions. We're in the last 2 weeks of our previous energetic year, of our previous lunar year cycle, right? Endings and beginnings, with these eclipses breaking karmic cycles so that we can move forward into the future. We've got the rulers of both of the polarities associated with the eclipse season this year, currently right now, as we're going through this last 2 weeks of our previous lunar year cycle, in the sign of Pisces. Pisces is the 12th sign of zodiac. Pisces is about endings. Pisces breaks things down. It erodes things. It dissolves things. It washes them away. Every way you slice it, every way you look at it, like, this 2 weeks is, it's about, here, I'm hearing in my head right now, like the sinking ship, but that's not what I meant to say. It's about the end, okay? Like, this next 2 weeks is about the end of one thing and the beginning of another thing. And we're being supported because energy is also breaking down things and supporting the like fertilization growth of new things. And it's coming through, like I said, via the rulers of the polarities of the nodes and the eclipses, and the sign of Pisces, the sign of the end, the eclipse itself being a lunar eclipse that is happening, you know, in the sign of Libra. This is also about the end, breaking these karmic cycles, right? And then we're also in this last 2 week period of our previous energetic year, also then therefore, you know, indicating that we've come to the end and we're, you know, right on the precipice of starting something brand new. So, you know, all of those things happening simultaneously, like pointing to where we're at now. We are about to hit the part of the ride, you guys, where it's like, oh my God, twist, turn, unexpected. I did not see that coming. Like, that's the energy that we are moving into as this ending energy, like, as we play through this ending energy and find ourselves perhaps in a bit of a void, okay? You know, like I said, it may really feel like things are falling apart on some levels here over this next couple of weeks, but any, you know, void that we may find ourselves floating in, water reference, there's going to be these unexpected things that happen that just totally change the story for us. Like, we're moving into the Act 3 energy, okay? Like, we're moving into the climax part of the play or the story where it's like the last and most dire possible moment, and then like all of a sudden, out of nowhere, like something crazy happens, totally unexpected, you never would have imagined, but you know, it changes the entire unfolding storyline and sequence of events moving forward. Like, this is the big show that we're moving towards, you guys, and we're going to be living through it. And I don't just mean this year. Like, what the things that go on this year are really going to be defining moments, I feel like, in the course of, you know, the new history that's sort of being written, that's going to be represented perhaps over the course of the next 2,000 years, because like this is energy that is really like liberating us from the age of Pisces, from the previous paradigm, as we move more into the age of Aquarius energy. And Pluto's transit through the age, or through the sign of Aquarius over this next 20 years, is also rooting us into this Aquarius energy. And then we've got, you know, like I said, the defining energy of this year, Uranus, ruler of the sign of Aquarius, in a conjunction to Jupiter. Like the shakeups that are happening now, like these are shaking the foundations and like creating cracks and like up leveling the foundations and the structures of the old 3D matrix. And, you know, a lot of awakening is about to go on. Like we're moving towards an age of information. Like there's going to be a lot of powerful revelations and a lot of powerful things that we are coming to understand that are really changing things for us. But we're going through a paradigm shift, you guys. Like that's what I'm trying to say. And the energy that is happening now is going to be significant in like the greater overall history of events that like humankind kind of looks back at. And it probably sounds like hyperbolic and over dramatic, as you know, a lot of things that I say do, but honestly, you know, I'm only saying that because that's how I see it. Like that's how I'm reading it. You know, I wouldn't speak this way probably about the majority of moments in time in history. I probably would have spoken this way if I was an astrologer back in, you know, 1776. Like that's the type of energy that we are back in now. And it's just, you know, it's going to be monumental in its impact moving forward into the future. However, we're not going to, you know, as we're going through it, it's probably going to be a lot less evident than it will be. However, you know, I don't know, there's going to be crazy stuff that goes on, and it's coming sooner than we think. But in this energy, like this is like I keep saying, you know, this is like the end of the old world, and it's moving us to going through this big eclipse coming up, and then going through this big conjunction. Like things are definitely going to be changing moving forward, and it's going to be happening in some very unexpected, probably shocking ways. Do not attach to things as they appear over this next couple of weeks, you guys. Live in your gratitude and your faith. Wear it like your armor. You know what I mean? Everything is going to be okay. It's actually going to be so much better in the end. And if you know this in your heart of hearts, okay, as we move through this period of time, you will prove yourself right when all is said and done at the end of the day. But, you know, there's the big changes coming, and it is likely to be in the context of the Venetian energy too. It's the feminine energy, the Venetian energy, and all that it represents. That is the epicenter of the changes that are happening right now. It's breaking down and realigning and course correcting basically everything to do with the Venus archetype. You know, it currently with this full moon, it's happening in the context of the moon and the south node coming into their karmic release alignment. Like, right, this is an emotional detachment, south node, from karmic connections of the past. This could also have to do with, you know, feminine energy, generally significant female figures like in your life and stuff like that, and the maternal energy as well. This could have to do with things to do with the mother or early childhood, you know, our sense of home also with the moon in the sign of Libra right now. But we have that indication of the breakdown of the Venetian energy and the release from the way that we have related to and expressed the Venetian energy in the past of, you know, our experience up until this point. Venus also in the sign of Pisces, that is breaking down, dissolving, dissipating, coming to the end. That's Pisces, the 12th sign of the zodiac. That's what that energy does. And then also the Uranus-Jupiter conjunction that is happening. That is radical change, okay? Huge, massive radical change. It's happening in the sign of Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus. So, you know, we've got the eclipse happening in Venus's sign, and then we've got the conjunction happening in Venus's sign, and Venus is in the sign of Pisces, which is, you know, breakdown, transition, change. Pisces is also a mutable sign, flowing from one state to the next. Out with the old, in with the new, everything Venus, everything Libra, everything Taurus. Wherever you have Libra and Taurus in your chart as well, this could be significant to you in terms of, number one, Libra with this moon, what you're releasing essentially, or the area of life that is likely to be impacted, and the Taurus, you know, the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, what area of life is likely to be most impacted by these big incoming changes. If you know your natal chart chart and you know what houses host Libra and Taurus, that could give you some indication into like how this might be playing out in your own life, if you don't just already know by the things that are going on in your life. But Venus, Libra, Taurus, again, big financial system changes pending. I've been literally saying this for like a couple of years, ever since Uranus entered Taurus. Uranus takes 7 years to transit a sign, you guys. We may not have seen it yet, but Uranus is not going to leave the sign of Taurus without creating huge, sweeping changes to like financial systems, economic systems, things, money, value, stuff like that. Things also to do with the material world generally, resources, assets, money, food, agriculture, all that type of stuff. There's big changes coming in that regard. All things to do, specifically this moon, relationships, partnerships, alliances, agreements, commitments, all things also to do with perhaps pleasure, enjoyment, music, entertainment, socializing, relating, connecting with others. A lot of people are going to be going through personal changes in the context of what they are and are not attracted to moving forward. Also things to do with art, beauty, image, vanity, stuff like that. And also perhaps things to do with girls, women, feminine energy, the mother perhaps as well with the moon there. Prominent females could be losing power, influence, or being disconnected, released, sacrificed, surrendered, or exposed somehow over this 2-week eclipse period, with it being the Libra moon south node. This also makes me think of that, how like Kate Middleton is missing and no one knows where she is. Like, I wonder if over this full moon eclipse, if there will be information about that. I would not be surprised if over the full moon lunar eclipse there are some like information or some clues or something about that situation. So just that also popped into my head when I was looking at this. So I wanted to mention that. But lots of this Pisces energy, you guys, things being hidden or things that have been hidden, or somehow things not being clear, somehow things not being straightforward, an element of, trickery or illusion or, smoke and mirrors somehow. It makes me also like get the imagery of like a magic trick, like an illusion being put on somehow over this next couple of weeks. I expect that things are going to be happening behind the scenes, which will not be obvious over the next couple of weeks. So, I mean, I don't know, how that could play out, but it's, again, just like another vibe that I'm kind of picking up on based on the way that all of this energy is presenting and coming together. And another thing with the moon in Libra being eclipsed, this is also likely not to give like great judgment. We could feel kind of disconnected from our intuition or like our own kind of like inner caliber about stuff, and we could honestly just like, it could be kind of hard to make a clear or informed decision or judgment call that we feel like very comfortable with as we go through this eclipse window. So if you don't have to, don't. This period specifically, usually the period between eclipses, but specifically this period between eclipses for me, I'm gonna probably be doing my best to lay low, and it's kind of like the speak when spoken to energy, so to say, to me. Like, I feel like non-interference in things, like non-involvement in things, just kind of keeping to ourselves is probably the best. We really are best served in this eclipse window to seek solutions, open to possibilities, ask for guidance, focus on self-improvement and our goals and our visions and our ideals of what we want to create, who we want to become, and sort of live in our own space, perhaps, of productive personal delusion. Be there instead of maybe like getting sucked into all of the backwards drama that is likely to be manifesting in the 3D matrix, because it is likely to be. And the symbolism, you guys, associated with this eclipse, we have the full moon itself happening at 5 degrees and 7 minutes exactly of the signs of Aries and Libra. However, when we read the Sabian symbols, which are the symbols associated with all of the degrees of the zodiac, we round up a degree because we want to look at the incoming wave of energy, not the wave of energy that's like flowing out, right? So, or that's like dissipating. So we're looking at 6 degrees of Aries in Libra. 6 Aries is a square brightly lighted on one side, and 6 Libra, which is the position of the moon itself, is a man watches his ideals taking concrete form before his inner vision. I mean, the square brightly lighted on one side, like, to me, this is also this, like, whenever I think of this, like, symbolism, it makes me feel like some type of like spiritual guidance to a higher solution. It's like the answer to maybe a problem that has been, you know, keeping us trapped, or, you know, the like the box that we've been thinking in, sort of like getting like the light bulb moment, or being even perhaps like divinely guided a certain time, synchronicity, whatever, in such a way that like helps us find our way out, like helps us see the solution. And then we're talking about like helps us, you know, break out of the box, so to say, which is what we're doing here with this eclipse also. And then, you know, a man watches ideals taking concrete form before his inner vision. Like, that's the new world that we're creating. Like, that's the manifestation energy that is helping us to like be reborn anew, outside the box of the limitations of what was possible for us in the past. And this mindset change in perspective, which is also very much represented by everything we're going through right now, is actually liberating us to activate a higher purpose and move towards, you know, a greater level of destiny and fulfillment than, you know, maybe we thought possible for ourselves, up until we go through this like paradigm shift in our own lives, until we, you know, begin living this new life in the same life that we've always been living, but now everything has changed. And again, it's like we can never go back to how things were, but we've got this whole new world that is laying itself before us, that is beckoning us forth to be more than we, you know, ever thought possible for ourselves. So, you know, living in that world, like I said, you know, productive personal delusion, focusing on self-improvement and personal growth over getting ourselves involved in all of the craziness that is likely to be going on in the world at large. Okay, out there is the breakdown, right? Out there is where everything is likely to be, you know, on its last leg, you know, whatever this breakdown energy brings. But in here, right, in our own personal world, this is the launch pad, this is the laboratory, this is the drawing board, this is the incubator, right, for our own personal transformation, which is also like seriously indicated and supported as we move through this period of time as well. We use this energy best for personal accountability and personal growth, shedding the old skin, being transformed into this new version of ourselves, and opening our mind and changing our perspective. If this is the approach that we take, maneuvering through this energy, like, you're gonna bloom, you're gonna grow, you're gonna be winning so hard in 2025, it's gonna be shocking, like perhaps things that you never thought possible, right? But, you know, if you are clinging to the side of the sinking ship, the old version of things in this energy, refusing to let go, you will go down with it until you decide to let go. And then, of course, your journey back to the surface will reflect the depths and the despair to which you chose to, you know, hang on and sink. And of course, that is a required part of the process to, you know, learn the lessons necessary to elevate back up to the surface. But we're all coming up eventually, you guys. This is, you know, we're moving out of the age of Pisces. This is these watery depths, and we're moving into the age of Aquarius, which is this, you know, this elevated air energy. So it's really just a matter of time in terms of how long it takes us to break these karmic cycles personally and rise to the surface. But this is what is happening collectively right now. So here we are, the ship is sinking, so many people are jumping off the side, so many people jumping ship right now. Like, that's how this Libra moon eclipse feels to me. We may be treading water for a while during the eclipse window. We may see literally no way of surviving. We may just be out here, feel like we're just like paddling alone in the dark, and we don't know if we're ever going to make it or what's going to happen. But I'm telling you guys, this is the third act, right? This is when, like, oh, like a troop of mermaids shows up, or a school of dolphins who can speak come out of nowhere, or a lifeboat just happens to be drifting by, and all of a sudden we're guided safely to this brand new land, and it just saves the day and changes everything for us moving forward. and brings us to the bridge or the precipice or the brink of this whole new life, whole new world, right? This new paradigm. And then if we, continue on with this metaphor, it's like, okay, so maybe, we're starting over from scratch in this new land that we have arrived at. Maybe we have no one to rely on anymore but ourselves. Maybe we're standing there, feeling quite alone, but like we've made it and we're gonna move forward because there is no going back. And what we are going to learn, what these experiences are going to teach us about ourselves, about our capability, about our strength, about our courage, about our endurance, about our passion, about our willpower, and the freedom that we experience as a result of going through whatever this time brings to us. It's going to be invaluable somehow, and that is also something that is going to change our relationship to what we value, what we desire, you know what I mean? What we find valuable, what is meaningful to us, what we are attracting and magnifying, and what we desire to have in our lives moving forward. All of this Venetian archetypal energy that is going through radical changes right now. So, find your moment to let go, find your moment to jump off the ship and watch it sink from the safety of the sidelines, knowing that, you may be treading water for a little bit, things may be very uncertain, maybe, feel real scary, but the dolphins are going to come and they're going to swim you to land, and it's going to be all good in the end. So to the best of your ability, another thing that we should probably all do over this next couple of weeks is do our best to practice active detachment emotionally. And that's what's happening. I mean, a full moon lunar eclipse, that is a period of emotional detachment. But the more that we can kind of personally and emotionally detach from maybe some of the stuff that is just going haywire or playing out right now, and view things as sort of just like a show, get our popcorn ready, that's probably going to help to keep us more balanced and a bit more centered and grounded perhaps in some of this very paradigm changing and redefining energy that we have coming up right now. So that's what I have to say, you guys. That's what I have to say about our energy for the full moon that we have going on in the sign of Libra. I want to tell you before I forget, I meant to say this at the beginning, I'm only putting out 2 videos this week. My son's birthday is on the 21st and I have to take some extra days off because we are going on a little birthday trip for him. So there's only going to be 2 videos out this week. I will put another video out on Friday and we will be getting back into all the energy, picking up where we left off with our full moon eclipse today. But I feel like this energy is probably going to be the dominant force that we are kind of feeling and picking up on. And, as I said, this week and next week specifically, we might just feel like we're treading water a little bit. And, also, like I said, the Sabian symbol where the full moon is, right? It's a real powerful, it's specifically talking about our ability to manifest our dreams into reality. And, in the void of what is to come, we're moving to this period of hyper novelty. We need to also, the square brightly on one side, there is a need to break out of the boxes and the limited thinking of the past. We can't, here's another thing, right? We cannot define our future anymore based on our past. Up until now, yes, patterns, likely more so likely to perpetuate and repeat, cycles keep on going, if something's been a certain way, you can expect it to continue to be that way. But I'm telling you guys, now and moving forward, hyper novelty is incoming, patterns are breaking, and the limitations and the authority is breaking down, and the limitations on everything from the past are just not there anymore. So whereas, maybe all of life up until now, it worked in your best interest to be more, practical about things and to, limit yourself more in some capacity and to play the game and to, act a certain way to get a certain result and to, wear a facade in order to make people happy, to make things go in your favor, networking connections and all of that. This is the death of the facade, you guys. Taking risks, the North Node in the sign of Aries, not physical risks, of course, but personal risks in terms of, putting ourselves out there, trying new things, going in a new direction, not being afraid to fail also, knowing that you try 10 things, you're gonna fail probably at 9 of them, but you'll succeed at 1, and that 1 could be life-changing as well. You know, like, we have to, and we're going to have the courage to, you know, do new things, put ourselves out there, take chances on stuff, and like, things are going to pay off in unexpected ways that we wouldn't necessarily have thought possible and would not necessarily have been possible in different energy, but things are really shifting energetically now and moving forward. That is changing, like, literally, like, what is possible in this realm, world, 3D environment. So that's what I'm going to say, you guys. That's what I have to say about all of that back there on that board, that data that's associated with our full moon eclipse. Let's get a synchronicity card now, you guys. God, Spirit, Universe. What is some advice? What should we keep in mind? Not only today, but as we move in this window between eclipses, which is a big one, you know, this eclipse we have coming up. And again, connected to 2017, like, we've got, you cannot change another. And isn't that the truth? What did I say, you guys? This is good non-interference energy. This is great energy to not get involved in the external dramas, but to focus on purifying, upgrading, and, you know, redesigning, recreating our own blessed vessel, okay? You can't change another. Thou will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Isaiah 26:3. In your relationships with others, Libra full moon, don't be possessive or try to make them do what you think they should do or act the way you think they should act. Never permit others to rob you of your peace of mind. Your peace and joy are in God and not in the words and actions of other people. Bless them and walk on. Hallelujah. I feel like that right there, bless them and walk on. That's the key, you guys. That is the whole tea for this full moon lunar eclipse in Libra. Bless them and walk on. That's what we're doing. That's what I have to say today, you guys. That's our show. I hope you liked it. If you did like it, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel, you guys. Share it with your friends if you think that they would also enjoy this type of astrology content. Leave me comments, you guys. I'm so grateful for your presence here. I really also value and appreciate knowing what's going on with you out there. If you're having experiences that align with what I'm talking about in these videos, please let me know in my comment section below. Love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. And if you want to know what's on these boards, I have a Facebook group where I do my best to post them regularly as well. So that's where you'll find those. If you want a closer look at the synchronicity cards, Jana Shulman, who created the synchronicity cards, posts them in my Facebook group linked in my description box. So that's also where you can find those. And come back with me. As I said, I will not be putting out a midweek video this week. We will catch back up on Friday, where we will be fully immersed in our eclipse window, and we will have a lot more astrology to talk about. So I'll be here to talk about it. You should be here too. You don't want to miss it, guys. I will see you next time. Have a beautiful full moon eclipse. And until then, bye, guys.